Welcome for this match. My name is Aurélien Lorange. This is the 8th of finals of the Inter-University Law Debate Tournament organized by the Corax Foundation. Today we have two teams who qualified from the group phase for this match in the 8th of finals, and they will be debating on a topic they received in a bit more than 7 days. They don't know yet the positions, so they will know today at the same time than all of us, and as well greetings to the judge who will be watching the match. So I will, before giving the floor to the teams for introducing themselves, the topic itself, of course, is connected to this theme for this round, the 8th of finals. There were other matches during the previous days for the 8th of finals as well. So this is the last one of the 8th of finals, and the team who will win this match will qualify to the quarterfinals. So now we'll give the floor to the actors and actress of this match immediately. So I would like to give the floor first to Mr. Jack Walsh in Ontario.
Hello everyone, Aurélien, thank you for taking the time to accommodate. I know it's so late for you, and hello to the University of South Pacific. I'm really looking forward to having this debate with you and hoping to learn more about what your positions are.
Thank you very much. We have as well Miss Harriet Sionetama in Vanuatu.
Good afternoon, everyone from Vanuatu. My name is Harriet. I am a final year law student here. Looking forward to a great debate. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. There's as well Mr. Spencer Reiser in London, Ontario.
Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today, and I'm really looking forward to discussing this topic with everyone today. I think it's going to be a great, very fruitful discussion.
Thank you, and welcome. We have as well Miss Natasha Amani.
Hi, everyone from Vanuatu. I'm looking forward to this debate with you guys, and yeah, all the best.
Thank you. And we have as well from Vanuatu as well Miss Brigitte Laboucli.
Hi everyone, my name is Brigitte Laboucli. I'm also a final year law student at the MLS campus in Vanuatu, and I'm looking forward to a great debate with you guys. Thank you
very much. So just a precision for everybody. Yes, at this moment it is 9 p.m. in Ontario, in Canada. And as well it is noon in Vanuatu. So we are on Sunday in Canada, but in Europe and in Vanuatu we are on Monday already. So it is indeed 3 a.m. here in the Netherlands. So now the topic that the students received more than 7 days ago was commercial and private use of drone technology in urban areas should be strictly regulated on the account of protecting citizens' rights to property and right to privacy. So now I will share my screen because we'll do the allocation of positions, so it means we'll know which team will be in favor or against this motion, and after that there will be 5 minutes for each team for both teams, to review their notes based on the positions we will know. So as you can see, there are two possibilities for each university. So it means to be in favor or to be against for the University of Western Ontario or for the University of the South Pacific. So we click in the center and you will see which position, all of us see which position each team will have to defend. Okay. That is, the University of Western Ontario will be in favor. And we'll be starting the match because it's always the team in favor who starts the match, and as a consequence that the University of the South Pacific will be against the motion. Concretely, it means that the University of Western Ontario will defend the position that commercial and private use of drone technology in urban area should be strictly regulated on the account of protecting citizens' right to property and right to privacy. On the other side, the University of the South Pacific will defend the position that commercial and private use of drone technology in urban areas should not be strictly regulated on the account of protecting citizens' right to property and right to privacy. So now, I will start the countdown of 5 minutes, so it means you can close your camera and audio while reviewing your notes. And after the 5 minutes, we start the match with the introduction by the University of Western Ontario. So we are done with the countdown. So we stop sharing my screen. So I have, as you can see, one of my colleagues who just joined. She'll be the timekeeper, Miss Munteanu. It's as well 3 a.m. for her as well. She's in the Netherlands as well. So yes, we'll start in a few seconds. I put on full screen for the speaker. So yes, now I would like to give the floor to the University of Western Ontario for your introduction. You have 4 minutes.
Before I begin, can I confirm that I am audible and visible?
Yes, you are.
Good evening to our judges, and good afternoon to my colleagues at the University of the South Pacific. On behalf of myself and my teammate Jack Walsh, we are pleased to be here today discussing this topic with you. Today, my team and I will be arguing that commercial and private use of drone technology in urban areas should be strictly regulated on the account of protecting citizens' right to property and right to privacy. We will argue that strict regulation over drone use in urban areas is needed to protect privacy and property rights by putting forward 4 main arguments. I will argue that strict regulation of commercial and private drone use is needed to protect citizens' internationally recognized rights to privacy and property. My colleague Jack will then argue that there is an existing legal basis for strict regulation which can be expanded upon to protect property rights. And I will posit our last argument, that an international framework for strict regulation is needed to harmonize domestic regulations for a universal protection of privacy and property rights. Before we present our arguments, however, it is important to define some of the key terms of the debate topic. The generally accepted definition of a drone by scholars, the UN, and other international organizations is an unmanned aerial vehicle, or a UAV, that is without a human pilot, crew, or passengers. Additionally, these unmanned vehicles are remotely controlled in real time by human operators. Commercial drones are also distinct from military drones. Commercial drones are unarmed, do not require data encryption, and are not required to withstand GPS communication jamming. I will now move on to my first argument. The right to privacy is crucial for maintaining personal autonomy, dignity, and freedom, as it protects individuals' personal information from unwanted access and disclosure. The right to privacy is protected under numerous international declarations and treaties. Article 12 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and Article 17 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights both state that no one shall be subjected to arbitrary interference with their privacy, and everyone has the right to protection under the law against such interference. The ratification of both of these by over 170 of 193 UN member states illustrates that the right to privacy has entered customary international law. In our technologically advanced society and data-driven economy, the right to privacy has already come under attack. Data leaks occur regularly, leaking individuals' personal information to the highest bidder or even for free. Drones equipped with cameras and other surveillance technologies can easily be used by clandestine transnational actors for unauthorized surveillance and data collection, violating our right to privacy. If commercial and private drone use is not strictly regulated, it is clear that citizens will have their privacy rights infringed. My second argument points to the need for strict regulation to protect property rights. Article 17 of the UDHR states that everyone has the right to own property alone as well as in association with others. Additionally, in a 1993 report commissioned by the UN titled The Right of Everyone to Own Property as well as in association with others, it was acknowledged that the basic human right of the individual to own property and develop it to its full potential may be regarded as a human right and fundamental freedom. The commercial and private use of drones in urban areas, especially residential areas, without citizen consent is an intrusion on private property and an individual's ability to enjoy and use their property to its full potential. We can all agree today that drones are not easy to control. Without strict regulation for who can operate drones, inexperienced operators pose a substantial risk for causing property damage through collisions, invasions, and even potentially theft. Thus, strict regulation of drone use will help protect citizens' internationally recognized privacy and property rights. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now I would like to give the floor as well to the University of the South Pacific. For your introduction, you have 4 minutes.
Thank you for your arguments. Now, although there are privacy and property concerns that my colleagues from Canada have mentioned, it can be argued that strict regulation is not necessarily the best solution for addressing concerns related to drone use. Now, drone technology has become increasingly popular in recent years, with the application ranging from aerial photography and surveying to package delivery and even law enforcement. Now, drones have the potential to provide numerous benefits, although I have to argue that strict regulation may hinder that potential. Now, esteemed colleagues and panel, for the purpose of this debate, our team would like to draw your attention to our arguments that commercial and private use of drone technology in urban areas should not be strictly regulated. Firstly, there is difficulty with enforcing regulations. Now, regulating drone use in urban areas can prove to be difficult to enforce, particularly given the size and complexity of many urban areas, taking into account high density of people, buildings, and other infrastructure. It may be challenging to monitor and even to regulate the widespread drone use across an entire city, and this could lead to a lack of compliance with regulation. Another problem is identifying violators would be difficult given the size of drones, seeing they are very small and hard to locate within the vast sky. And because drones use advanced technology, they can use encryption and other technologies to avoid detection and even evade enforcement. Secondly, enforcement issues also include the costs of enforcement. Now, regulating drone use could be expensive, particularly if it involves implementing new systems or new technologies, especially to monitor and to enforce regulations. Now, regulatory bodies often need to invest in staff, invest in technology, and in training, especially in order to effectively regulate the use of those drones. With limited resources, it can be difficult to allocate resources specifically to drone enforcement. And in addition, enforcement and monitoring can be resource intensive, and that means it will require an ongoing funding. This could create a burden for law enforcement and both individuals and businesses that use drones. This brings me to our final point. Now, taking into regard the difficulties of enforcement and the cost of regulation, my team and I argue that existing law can be used to regulate drone use. Now, existing law provides a legal framework for addressing some of the concerns related to drone use, such as privacy rights and property rights and public safety. Now, these laws can be applied to drone use just as they can be applied to other technologies. For examples, laws surrounding aviation, surveillance, and trespassing can be used to address concerns about drone use. A supporting example is the European Union Aviation Safety Agency, which regulates drone use in the European Union under existing aviation laws, which includes the European Union Aviation Safety Regulation 2019. Now, using existing laws will avoid the need to develop new regulation and new legislation, and it will save time and resources for both regulatory bodies and for drone users. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now we move to the round of rebuttals. So first round of rebuttals actually. I would like to give the floor to the University of Western Ontario for your first rebuttal. You have 2 minutes.
I'd like to thank my colleague from the University of South Pacific for her argument that regulating drone use may be difficult and expensive in urban areas, and accordingly, that it may be difficult to achieve compliance. However, without regulation, we will be unable to protect property and privacy rights. Yes, it may cost money to regulate and enforce this, but it is money well spent when protecting internationally regulated rights. Additionally, it's not an either-or situation when it comes to which authorities have responsibility for regulating this technology. It is entirely reasonable and possible to create strict guidelines at the international level that govern the private use of drones solely in respect to privacy and property rights, and leave it up to local governments to decide how to best implement them. I will now proceed with our third argument, that the unregulated use of drones in urban areas not only may constitute an infringement on private property rights in a literal physical sense, as my colleague Spencer alluded to, but also in terms of noise pollution. While studies on the impact of drone noise in the environment and public health are ongoing, recent findings demonstrate that frequent exposure to drone noise can lead to hypertension, heart problems, depression, sleep disturbance, and other health issues. Existing airspace regulations are poorly suited to address these health concerns, as private drones operate much closer to communities than conventional aircraft, and the noise produced by drones is highly tonal and contains a greater proportion of high-frequency broadband noise. If we accept that these noise-related health concerns constitute a clear deprivation of one's enjoyments of his or her property rights, as understood under Article 17 of the ICCPR, regulating commercial and private use of drone technology in urban areas should be recognized as an imperative. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now I would like to give the floor back to the University of the South Pacific as well for the first rebuttal. So I would like to give you 2 minutes, of course.
Thank you very much for your argument. Before I proceed, I would like to clarify that we are not arguing no legislation or regulation. We are arguing legislation or regulation that is flexible and not strict. We acknowledge the points raised by our colleagues on the right to property and the right to privacy, and we would like to further counter-accuse those points. While we're arguing for international right to property and international right, individual right, we would like to also put the point forward that it is culturally related those rights, and it depends on which areas you are living in. Legal protection to privacy rights and remedies for the invasion of privacy is often framed under reasonable expectation of privacy, and it must be established. And this is the interesting context in urban areas. We have looked at the case of R versus Travis, a Canadian judgment on the 14th of February 2019, and it stated that the right to privacy of students being recorded was discussed. In this case, the Supreme Court found the teacher not guilty and was secretly recording students. We stated here that the case did not satisfy the reasonable test because it did not meet one of the elements of the criminal offense. This shows that there is still wide scope for interpretation and for the strict legalizing drones, and strictly legalizing drones will create new laws to govern and use its purpose, but it will be up to the judge and the society to decide whether or not it is an invasion of your privacy. We are arguing that legislation, while necessary, must be allowed for flexibility to include inclusivity of minority groups, while strict legislation might not be allowed for the interpretation of inclusivity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now we move to the second round of rebuttals. I would like to give the floor to the University of Western Ontario. You have 2 minutes.
Before I begin, could I confirm that I am audible and visible?
Yes, you are.
Thank you. I'd like to thank my opponent for their thoughtful argument. However, I must respectfully disagree. My friends at the University of the South Pacific have argued and used a Supreme Court case from Canada that refers to criminal law and criminal punishment for the use of drones and invasion of privacy. However, these are moot points, as the topic of our debate today is about commercial and private use of drones, not public use. Currently, both Canada and American courts have started to regulate commercial and private use of drones. In Jones and Sig, a 2012 Ontario Court of Appeal case, the court recognized citizens' inherent right to privacy and established a new cause of action which allows citizens to obtain remedies when drone operators infringe on privacy rights. Additionally, in Boggs versus Meredith, a 2016 U.S. District Court case, the court found that a drone operator's use of their drone to fly over an individual's property amounted to trespassing. Now, even though states are regulating drone use domestically, an international framework is still needed to harmonize domestic regulations so that privacy and property rights are universally recognized. Domestic regulations on drones can vary widely from state to state. This complicates drone use internationally and creates gaps in the protection of privacy and property rights. Take, for example, the case of Schrems versus Data Protection Commissioner, which was heard before the European Court of Justice in 2015. This case involved US-EU safe harbor regulations for transferring data from Europe to the United States. The court found that the European data was not sufficiently protected in the United States despite the regulations. due to differing domestic legislation on data protection between the US and Europe. If drone use regulation follows a similar path, where a patchwork of different domestic regulations are created, citizens will face an increased risk of having their privacy and property rights infringed by commercial and private drone use. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As well, for the second round of rebuttal, I would like to give the floor to the University of the South Pacific. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. While our opposing team argues the issue of privacy is of great concern, both nationally and internationally, an international framework must be considered, we argue that international framework does not guarantee effective regulation towards urban or high population density areas. We therefore also argue again the enforcement of such strict regulation needs to be considered. As the individual rights of different human beings is affected by data collection and processing, it is reasonable to expect that there is accountability and resource for such tasks in urban areas and smart cities, including the processing of lawful, fair, and transparent manner, which comes under the lawfulness, fairness, and transparency principle. The use used only for the purpose of which it is gathered, the limited only information limited only to the minimal amount of data necessary for the purpose of processing, assured of accuracy and updated if necessary, and always maintaining with integrity and confidentiality the information obtained. Therefore, in reiteration, the enforcement of such regulation will be costly on the states in order to ensure that the above principle mentions, especially the accountability to its people, is met. Furthermore, it's considering the resources of states, in particular developing states, and in our case, small island nation developing states. Strict regulation of technology could stifle innovation and hinder the development of new and useful applications. The adoption of drone technology is turning into a trend and will be beneficial for countries who are embracing technology. For example, drones are being used for tasks such as delivery of goods in urban areas and smart cities, emergency responses, search and rescue, and trafficking monitoring. Moreover, the most evolving areas of drone is the involvement in smart cities, where society and policymakers are continuously working in their development. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now we move to the conclusions. So we start with the conclusion by the University of Western Ontario. You have 2 minutes.
I'd just quickly like to thank my colleague for her final argument that an international framework does not offer effective regulation for high density areas, or it cannot be reasonably affordable in certain developing areas. However, an effective international regulatory regime for drone technology will look to create an equal playing field for manufacturers to encourage the development of safer and less intrusive drones. By passing the burden on to manufacturers, it helps create better and safer drones and better technology that benefits mankind leading in the future, much as the same way that regulations in the auto industry have led to safer and cleaner cars today. To go to our conclusion, as their first argument, Spencer had articulated that the strict regulation of commercial and private drone use in urban areas is necessary to protect individual privacy and property rights. He argued as well that the property rights are necessary as commercial and private drone use in residential areas without citizen consent constitutes an infringement on private property. I, as our second speaker, argued that health risks stemming from frequent exposure to drone noise also deprive individuals of their ability to enjoy property without interference from private individuals or corporations. Finally, Spencer argued that an international framework is needed to harmonize domestic regulation internationally so that privacy and property rights in relation to drones are recognized consistently and universally. On behalf of Western University, Spencer and myself, we wish to thank our opponents from University of South Pacific for their submissions. We humbly ask the judges to agree that commercial and private use of drone technology in urban areas should be strictly regulated on account of protecting citizens' private rights to property and right to privacy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now I would like to give the floor to the University of the South Pacific as well for the conclusion. You have 2 minutes.
Oh, sorry. Am I visible?
Not yet.
I think
No, we can hear you, but yeah, your camera is not yet.
it's not. Sorry, I'm
Mhm.
just having a little difficulty.
Yep.
Am I audible and visible?
You are audible, but not yet visible.
I am? Okay, cool. Sorry. Thank you to my oh, jokes. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it will be fine. Just so if you can switch on the camera, because we can hear you, huh?
Am I visible?
Not yet. No.
I- Okay. Here, let me try.
Then he switch it.
Am I visible?
Not yet. I think you have been trying, I think.
Okay. I actually did try that. It's the internet. Let me just.
Oh, I think they are reconnecting. So apologies, huh? So it's. So we're waiting for them to reconnect, and of course I will tell them that without camera as well, it's possible to proceed. I mean, because the audio was perfect, so. we send them another invitation. I don't know if they find the link. User coming back. So welcome back. Can you... Yes, now we have the camera.
Okay, thank you.
So, yes, you may start, yeah.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to apologize for that little hiccup, but getting back to my conclusion, first of all, I would like to thank you for your great points. As my colleagues from the Canadian team have mentioned, we do not contend that there are, indeed privacy and property rights concerned. However, we do argue that strict regulation is not necessarily the answer, because strict regulations itself bring privacy concerns when enforcement actions involve sharing personal data with third parties, especially without consent. Now, this would hinder public perception negatively, especially if individuals or groups feel that their privacy rights are being violated, or if they see the drones as valuable tools for their daily activities. Now, as mentioned throughout this debate, it is clear to see how prevalent the use of drone technology has become in modern times. From commercial use to private recreational usage, drones have majorly impacted the way things move through our urban environment. With the continued advancement in drone technology, we can expect to see even more innovative uses in the future. However, strict regulation can be stifling to the potential of drone usage. Not only is strict regulation difficult to enforce, it is also challenging to fund, especially with limited resources. Now, law enforcement has many priorities, and it would be difficult to allocate resources to drone enforcement alone. Strict regulation will not guarantee effectiveness. I would like to reiterate that strict regulation is not necessarily the best solution due to the risk of overregulation. Instead, we would like to argue that the use of the flexibility of existing laws for the easy adaptation and adoption of the evolving technology that drones use in order to strike a balance between innovation and regulation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now we heard the two conclusions. So it means, so from now, the two teams are not under evaluation by the judge. So it means you can both, breathe and relax and drink water if you want after this match. So we'll move, of course, to the feedback session. The moment when we can get your impression, how you prepared, of course, and of course afterwards a bit of networking, and then we close the session. So indeed, welcome back everybody. We'll start with this, I would say, moment of exchange. Mr. Walsh, what did you think about this topic, and as well, how did you prepare? Was it connected to your studies, maybe?
This was not a topic that I'd previously come across in law school, but I do know that it's an emerging area, and it's definitely going to be more important as our colleagues at the University of South Pacific pointed out. There is a lot of it's a technology that's increasing in a lot of different areas all the time.
Okay, thank you. Miss Sionetama, have you seen this in your studies? How did you prepare the topic as well? What did you think about the match in general?
Hello again. Firstly, I'd like to apologize on behalf of my team for our poor internet connection. We're so sorry. In terms of the debate, the topic is quite new for myself. So therefore, I thank the opposing team for the great points provided. It's very insightful, and I've enjoyed myself. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Reiser, Spencer Reiser, what do you think about the match itself? How did you prepare it? And as well, did you see it already in your studies, maybe?
Thank you. Yeah, I haven't encountered this topic that much during my studies, but I think like my colleagues at the University of South Pacific and as well as Jack have said that it's just a very very emerging area. There's going to be so much new law that comes out of this, and it's such a nuanced topic that it really is hard to find which approach would be best to regulate the drone use and balance the interests at stake. But yeah, thank you for a great debate today. These were some great points we all shared.
Thank you very much. Miss Amani, what did you think about the match? How did you prepare? Was it connecting in some way with your studies?
Personally, I've never really come across this, but like my colleagues have said, it is an emerging topic and it was very interesting. And preparation for it, we learned a lot of new things. And thanks to this debate and our opposing team, the Canadians, it's very, very interesting. So thank you very much for your perceptions. It was very insightful.
Thank you very much. And Miss Laboucli, next to you. So have you studied this maybe during your years? Or maybe as well, could you tell how you prepared the topic eventually?
Thank you very much, Aurélien. This topic was very interesting for us. I think there's no cases in the Pacific, and we were laughing about how there's probably less than 100 drones in Vanuatu. And I think how I came across this was the individual right versus collective right. And we talked about how the Pacific is more concerned with collective rights than individual rights. So the discussion on privacy from the Canadian team was very insightful for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I would like to ask maybe as well, maybe Professor Ostevel, if you could tell what you thought about the match in general.
I found this debate topic really interesting because, like Spencer and Jack, I had not really come across it from a private law perspective. I have, though, in my field of study, which is international criminal law and international humanitarian law, in particular because of the use of drones as weapons of war in the Ukraine conflict. But this required discussion with Spencer and Jack about the opposite of that, the private law side. And I learned a lot from both my students and also from the wonderful students at the University of the South Pacific. Thank you.
Thank you very much. On the side of the University of South Pacific, I don't know if you have your coach next to you or not at all. No?
Our coach is not here today. It's a Labor Day here in Vanuatu, so we don't blame her.
Oh, okay. So it's as well Labor Day in France, so not in the Netherlands. Okay, good to know. So now we'll move to simply a bit of networking, because of course we'll close this session this way. First of all, congratulations for all the work you have done in that preparation for this match, and as well thank you as well for the exchange of emails in order to help us to arrange the match as well. So yes, I would like to ask Mr. Walsh, maybe have you been in the South Pacific, Vanuatu, Fiji? Have you been maybe?
No, I never have. It's very far from Canada, but I would love to go one day.
Yes, I have to say that I've been in Fiji, and I came actually from Canada on the way, from Europe. So it was 17 hours, I think, by plane. But yes, so on the side of the University of South Pacific, Miss Sione Tama, have you been in Canada? Have you met anybody maybe from Canada in Vanuatu?
I have never been to Canada. I do not personally know anyone from Canada, but I consider knowing someone now from our two colleagues from Canada. And it is a place that I will personally love to visit one day.
Thank you very much. Mr. Reiser, any, I would say, travels already in the South Pacific, in Vanuatu, or in Fiji in the past?
No, unfortunately, I've not been able to travel anywhere around the South Pacific, but I'll echo the same sentiment as Jack. I would love to. It seems like it would be a great opportunity.
Okay. So from this match, it would be a good way for keeping connections, and one day, indeed, to meet over there. So, Miss Amani, do you have any friends from Canada, maybe? Or have you been in Canada?
I personally have not been to Canada, but I do have a couple of friends from there.
and now I have 2 more.
Yes, of course. It's not the same temperature in Canada than in Vanuatu. It depends on the season, of course. But Miss Buckley, do you have any friends in Canada? Have you been in Canada eventually?
I have known Canadian volunteers that came and work in the public sector in Vanuatu. So there's opportunity there. If you join the Canadian volunteer program, you can come to Vanuatu. We need more lawyers here too.
Voilà. So there is a program as well, as you can see. So so many thanks, and finally, Professor Oosteveld, have you been in Vanuatu or in Fiji?
I was, when I was a lawyer at Global Affairs Canada, I was privileged to represent Canada at some work done with the South Pacific Forum. So I was in the Cook Islands and in Samoa, and it was amazing. It was so interesting to be there. But I've never been to Vanuatu, but it's on my list of places to visit.
Yeah. So yes, I haven't been either in Vanuatu, only in Fiji. So yes, I've been in one of the campus within Fiji before the pandemic. It was the first time actually I was meeting people from the University of South Pacific. So yeah, it's a university which is covering 15 countries, I think. Is it right, Miss Labuckley or Miss Mani, or you have different campus?
Yes, you're correct.
Yes. So yes, it's an opportunity as well to meet several countries with one university. So yes, I encourage everybody, of course, to connect with the university in Western Ontario and as well with the University of South Pacific, because yes, it's a good way for connecting indeed regions and as well students who have the opportunity afterwards during their career to travel and to make connections and help each other, of course, on cases and career opportunities, of course. So yes, on my side and on the side of Miss Montano. Miss Montano, have you been in Canada?
Unfortunately not.
And in Vanuatu?
Here in the South Pacific.
No, okay. Well. But soon, so I've been in both, but not yet in London, Ontario. I haven't been in Ontario actually, but one day soon, I hope. But many thanks to both of you. So I will let, of course, the team in Canada, yes, finishing this evening on this Sunday. And of course, wish a good afternoon in Vanuatu on Monday and a good Labor Day. So you can indeed enjoy the rest of the day before going back to work tomorrow or to school. So I would like to thank as well my colleague Ms. Montano, and as well greetings to the three judges who will be watching from Colombia, Bulgaria and from the Netherlands this match, and we hope to receive during the next 2 days the results. You will receive by email, and as well we will announce of course the result publicly on LinkedIn and Facebook. And your team will be having the match, I forgot, but yes, the team who will be winning this match will have the match against another winner, because we already got the winners of the other 8 of finals of the previous days. So you will see it as well on LinkedIn who is the next opponent for the winner of this match of tonight. Afternoon. So many thanks again, greetings to all of you, and wish you all a good night and a good day. Thank you again. Thank you. Bye bye.